Welcome to the Encore Audio Archives YouTube channel. I'm Taper Dave, and this is my channel. I've uploaded hundreds of talks here that I've recorded at meetings in West LA, and I've also recorded conventions starting in 2013. I've got a bunch of those up. And Walt and Mary Murray, the original owners of Encore Audio Archives, started the company in the 80s, and Walt recorded Joe and Charlie's and a bunch of stuff down in Vista, California. My sobriety date is June 20th of 1994. I hope you find something you like, so please like and subscribe to my channel and comment down below. If you want to hear something that I don't have or that you don't see, I'll see that I get it. Anyways, take care and have a great day if you want to.
Please help me welcome our first speaker this morning, Bill.
Hi, I'm Bill Cullen, alcoholic. Wow, look at this. You know, we say we were like men who have lost their legs. Well, I never got any to begin with. I got to bring this down here. I was shortchanged in the leg department. Well, let's see. My story begins, and I'll make it the history real brief. I was raised out in Riverside when Riverside was full of orange groves and ranches and things like that. It was quite a beautiful city. I was the youngest of 6 Irish Catholic children, and my parents did not have a drinking problem. And but I started, my alcoholism kicked in about age 17 or so, and affected every single thing in my life for the next 24 years. Every single thing. I went into the Korean War was going on, so I went into the Coast Guard, which was the safest place to be at that time. And so I drank my way through the Coast Guard for 3 years. And when the Koreans really should have given me my discharge, because I didn't do anything for our side. I was just stone drunk as every day I could. And I got out of the service. I went to college only because I had a GI Bill, and they paid for a lot of my college, and they drank a lot in college. And I looked long and hard to find out the best drinking college that I could find. Most people go to college, get an engineering degree or some sort of professional license or some education. I went to party. And University of Wisconsin was the best party college university at the time, and I couldn't swing that, so I went to San Jose State, which wasn't bad, and we did a good job of. Amazing how amazing, just like I got through the service, amazing I got through college, I even graduated, but when most college kids were getting their caps and gowns and going down the aisle and all that, and their families were there, I was passed out in a whorehouse up in Reno. So you kind of get an idea. My lifestyle didn't seem to fit in with the rest of the folks. And so that was the early stages of my drinking. And the fact that I got a degree helped me get some good jobs. And in spite I didn't deserve the degree. And I got very good jobs in big corporations, and I went up the ladder pretty well, which doesn't surprise many of you, I'm sure, because amazing how alcoholics can achieve so much on the outside while dying on the inside. I mean, there are as many and alcoholic doctors and attorneys and astronauts, if you will, and airline pilots and nurses, and there's just as many people in those high-ranking categories, if you will, as there are of those of us that didn't make it too far in life. But it hits everybody. So I was able to go up the corporate ladder, and the higher up you go up the ladder, the less chances that your drinking's going to affect your career, because there's less people to snitch on you, to say this guy is drunk every day and this guy's doing this and that. They don't want to snitch on you if there's a chance they get fired, right? So the higher up you go, the more protection you have. And that's true in all. Digressing for a minute, after I've been sober for a while, I worked in the for Texaco in their alcohol and drug field and up and down the West Coast. And the union guys liked me because I represented management, but I made it very clear that I'd win the union guys over really quickly when I said, I know where the biggest problem in this company is, and I know who's got it and where it's going on. And when I'd say it's the management, they'd all just, were elated to hear that. But it's true, the higher up the ladder you went, the more of a screw up you could be and get away with it. And for instance, I was the labor relations director for Todd Shipyards down in San Pedro. And Jesus, every few days they'd bring me a typed letter, and for me to sign. It was to someplace like Alcatraz or Corona or Soledad or someplace, and to the warden, the first paragraph said something to the effect that listed below, the convicts listed below, or probably a different name than that, but we accept responsibility if you will parole them to our place of employment. So we'd be hiring guys straight out of slammers. I'd sign my name to it when I could sign my name. A lot of times I'd have to go out and get a drink and come back and sign my name. And we'd hire these guys. They'd come right into the gate, and so we'd be hiring them through that door and firing them through that door. But it didn't make much difference because we'd fire them and they'd come around and get in line again, and we'd hire them back. So that was my job. But I lost that job because of my drinking. Didn't that surprise you? I mean, I reeked of alcohol constantly, like some of us know that. And so I don't care if in those days we wore ties and suits, but I had a flask and those. Remember those? They were terrible. Remember those friggin' drinks they put in a can? I don't know if they still do it or not. You remember? They tried to put martinis and stuff in cans. They were really bad. But I used to drink those. I'd get a few of them on the way to work and drink them on the way to work, and then I had ways of getting around on the job that way. So throughout my career, I just screwed up. Married and had two beautiful children. Thank God. One of them's 3 years in AA, and the other one's I'm very proud of the other one too. She's in the Peace Corps, and she's doing like big time 12-step work in not literally 12-step, but you know what I mean. She's being of service in some tough places. So, and my wife, God bless her, is dead, and I gave her just a fit of a time, like I did everybody else. So anyway, this is a story. I'm trying to get to my recovery here quickly. That everything I touched, everything from age 17 till 24, till 44, I was all alcohol, everything. I just couldn't do anything. I remember I was in college, and I took this real sweet little college girl to someplace, and I got passed out drunk. And the next day, I saw her at some other affair, and I walked up to her, and I had a shot of whiskey in my hand to apologize to her. And I swear to God, I walked up and I said, whatever her name was, Mary, I'm so sorry. And whiskey went just like that, right straight up. I learned two things there. And one is never get a shot of whiskey in a shot glass anymore. You got to drink it out of a big, heavy-duty glass, right? But that was terrible. That was only in college when I was doing that. So my work career kept, on the one hand, it kept going up because I was good at what I did in spite of being drunk. But as a matter of fact, speaking of my job, I was the director of human relations and human resources for Magic Mountain up the pike here ways, and had 4,000 some employees that I was responsible for. I could hardly be responsible for getting my fucking key in the car, let alone be responsible. And I had everything. I mean, everything. I'm talking about golf courses and restaurants with cocktail lounges, and we had motorcycle places, and we had a little airport, and all that Magic Mountain stuff. Which is all I reported to was one guy, and I couldn't handle that. I started drinking, and they found me passed out in my desk. My office was damn near as big as this room. And the security guards who worked for me, security guards, found me and escorted me home. So anyway, everything, I've heard many people from the podium or just in both sessions say, alcohol stopped working for me. It never stopped working for me. Today, and if I pick a drink right now, it'd start all over. Alcohol, I would drink and I would drink. I'd get drunk. I would act out, and then I'd pass out, and I'd come to, and sometimes I'd get sick, and then as soon as I could, I'd start drinking again. As soon as I could get that drink down, right? Remember that? So many times we tried to get that goddamn drink. I just couldn't get it down. But once I got it down, I was off again, where I would drink, and I would drink, and I would get drunk, and I would act out, and I would pass out, and I would come to, maybe I'd get sick, and then I'd start drinking again. And I did that every day that I possibly could. And I staggered into AA on June 5th, 1977. And I had up in Newhall, and you got a place called the Rafters up there. I don't know if any of you know, but it's been there for a long time. A lot of people got sober up there. And so God bless, the guys, I hooked up with half a dozen guys who were really into action. They did things. They did AA things. I mean, they were basically going to hospitals and treatment centers, and every Friday they go way up there to what's that prison way up in to Tehachapi. And they'd have, Tehachapi is so big, and AA's been there so long that they actually have two meetings, one in the maximum security and one in the, I guess, more minimum. And big meetings, guys are there, and they're doing a long, long time, and yet they really work a hell of a program from everything I could see. I went there many times because these guys went there. I went there because they went there. They kept telling me, it's what we do that counts. It's what we do that counts. And which reminds me, if you look at the 12 steps. Oh, by the way, this is an old digging grounds for me. I see Papa Joe's gone, but 15 some years ago, I was a coffee maker back there. When that coffee room was even more tiny than it is now, it was really small then. And we have one percolator, or is that what you call it, that makes the coffee? One percolator thing. So can you imagine? I was a Tuesday morning, 6:45 a.m. Coffee maker for many years. Normally you just get a commitment for like a year, but that wasn't a very popular job. At 6:45 a.m. because you had to come in around. I think I opened to turn the lights on about 5:15 or so, or 5:30. And because you had to get a big head start to make enough pots, so when new people started coming in, they could be ahead of you. So, so when the lights would go on, the people who didn't have a place to sleep, and they're sleeping in their cars or under trees or wherever, I was the most popular guy in Southern California. So the lights come on, they knew they could get a cup of coffee. My old Bill will be there in that little spot. And I was there religiously for probably 4 years. And I remember one morning, Joe came in early too. Papa Joe came in early, and there was one guy anyway, was talking to him about who runs AA, who's the president of AA, who's in charge around here, who's this, who's that. And I was doing my thing, doing all the stuff I had to do, and Joe was standing close to me, and he was telling this guy there isn't anybody that runs it, and giving him but we don't have any, presidents or chairman of the board, leader, blah, blah, blah. And he turned to me and he said, Bill, see, how long have you been making coffee, or how much time you haven't got a program or something? I said, 15 years or something. And he said, well, how long you been making coffee? And I said, I don't know, 3 or 4 years. And he said, and he turned back to this other guy and he said, well, now here's a good example. If you go to meetings, if you stop drinking, one day at a time you go to meetings, you get sponsors, you read the book, you practice the principles on all your affairs, maybe then someday, after 15 years, you too can come in and make coffee at 5:15 in the morning. He says, that's about as high as we get in this program. So I remember this room very well for many years, and I moved down. I go to my meetings in Hermosa now. And so I got sober in this place up in San Fernando, or up in Newhall. But that was not without a slip before I got sober. And I was in a meeting the other night, and a guy was talking about slipping, and he was saying that, slipping's just bullshit. You didn't slip, you just wanted to get drunk, and why don't you tell the truth and be a man about it? And so I stuck up my hand, and I said, I remember when I slipped, and some old timers at the time, when I came back after, I slipped for about 3 years, and I staggered back in, and some old timer said, get honest, just tell it like it is. You got drunk. So I would say I got drunk and for a while, and then after I wondered to myself, after a while, then after being sober and reading in a book where a guy slipped, remember in the book where it tells about a guy, I think he put some booze in his coffee or something. I think it was coffee, and that got him milk, was it? Yeah, milk. Milk was right, and that got him. And see, that was a slip, and that personified to me more what I meant by that than just going out and getting drunk. And when these people said, well, hell, you just want to get drunk. Well, hell, I wanted to get drunk for 25 years. I mean, that wasn't something new. But what really is, why slip, I think, is just perfect for what happens to us is that some of you may be old enough to remember this old song. It went called Slip Sliding Away. I'd sing it for you, but I have a little... But, it goes slip, sliding away, all right, whatever. And that's what we do. We start slipping and we start sliding, and we're away from the program. We stop reading the big book. Of course, we stop going to meetings. Naturally, we stop talking to our sponsors, or if we ever had one. But all this is kind of subtle. We don't go to the meeting because there's a ball game on that night, and we want to see the ball game rather than go to the meeting. No big deal. But it turns out to be a big deal because we're putting something before our sobriety. Or working the steps. We'll get around to it when we get around to it. That's beginning. All these things are indications that you're slipping. And then we do pick up the first drink. But it really was because we had no program. This program is amazingly powerful. I can't get over the years that I have sat in these meetings. Every single meeting for 27 odd years, I have heard what the book tells me is a spiritual experience or a spiritual awakening. And I ask you to just listen for this. It may happen to the next speaker that's up here, or it'll happen today if you go to meetings. What it says in the back of our big book under Appendix 2, paraphrasing it, because I'm sure that all you're going to run out and read it, just because I'm telling you. But in the back of the big book, it says a spiritual experience or a spiritual awakening is a profound alteration to our reaction to life. Holy mackerel. Now, isn't that simple and understated? This program is so simple, most people miss it. And a spiritual experience, a spiritual awakening, you think is going to be a bolt of lightning or thunder or some levitation or some, something esoterical. What it really is, it's even more powerful than that if you're an alcoholic. Because we could not drink over practically nothing, let alone tragedies. And every meeting that you come to, on an average, every single meeting, maybe more than once, you'll hear somebody say, I just lost my job after 20 years, such and such and such. And then he might say, but thank God I didn't drink. Somebody else will say, my my husband just left me with 3 children, and we have no income, and I have no source of this and that, but I didn't drink. Somebody else will say my father died last night. I'm having a rough time, but so far I haven't drank, and I'm not going to. Do you realize how powerful those things are? Those are really spiritual experiences. It's too bad they always seem to follow tragedy, but that's. Although I wouldn't be surprised if you're like me, I couldn't handle good news in my drinking days either. When I get a promotion or I get some money, something, I would go out and get drunk over it just as quickly as I would over bad news. It's just it. See, what it is reaction to life. And the 12 steps are full of action verbs. Action verbs, action verbs, action verbs, action verbs. You know, there's things like, they're always talking about doing. We do this, we do that, take these steps, do that, and do that, and do that. Those are action verbs. And lo and behold, subtly, we start reacting in a non-destructive way. Isn't that amazing? By working by working the steps and staying with the program and all the basic principles of the program, those are actions. We drag our body to these meetings no matter what. We be of service no matter what. We work the steps no matter what. Those are action, right? And then something bad happens to us. Our mother passes away. And in fact, my mother was murdered. I had a beautiful mother, just was a saint. She was murdered, and I was in this program, and I didn't get drunk over it. Now, how can you explain that? It wasn't me doing it. I got drunk from 17 till 44, and she got murdered. Now, wouldn't you think a drunk would drink over it? This program, my reaction was what you taught me to do. I mentioned that, I'm going to close here in a second, but I mentioned too that I was raised, I told you, out in Riverside, and my parents didn't drink, but my sister Peggy, they found my sister Peggy in her bathroom floor, dead from alcoholism. She left 3 lovely children. From my brother Jimmy, jumped out of a hotel room in San Francisco from his alcoholism, and my brother Denny died in a VA hospital from his alcoholism. And for a long time, they thought I had the serious drinking problem. And I ended up, but none of them made it through the door. Somehow, I not only made it, but because of you people and following what these guys did, action. I hated. Action has never been a favorite word of mine. Activity I was good at. Activity means I just ran around like a fucking squirrel looking for nuts. But action is you walk into the problem, you face it, and you go through it. And that's what I learned, and that's what I hope you'll learn from being in this program. I think I've about run out my time. I just want to thank you for having me, and what they say, keep coming back. Okay, thank you.
I think we got a great talk going on here. Thanks for watching the channel. Taper Dave here. Just curious, do you think this is better than Zoom? Okay, this is how I prepare my drone for launching. I like to do it inside the cab of my truck so I'm not standing outside in the weather. To install the joysticks for control, up and down, right and left, powered on. I have an Android phone that I use to connect it to the drone with. And it's actually controlled through the iPhone, through an app. Oops, wrong way. It's actually controlled through the iPhone, or through this Android phone, through the app. It's actually controlled through the Android phone, through an app, and you connect it through this short connection right here.
Remote control connected.
remote control's connected. So I pull out the drone. I have to extend the legs. Long legs extended first, then the short legs. Remove the gimbal protector. Set that aside, then power it on one short burst and one long burst. I lay it down. So I have to go to calibrate. So the drone's not connected yet. It shows you here as this drone gets disconnected, even though the remote's powered on. So the drone has to establish it's connected. So I go into the app to calibration mode. First I'll calibrate the remote controller. Start calibration. Out, in, oop, out, in, up, down, and then this little wheel is to control the gimbal. So it's calibrated. Go to gimbal calibration, start calibration, and then it calibrates the gimbal. I don't know if that shows up. The gimbal's moving all over the place. Changes, you can see it on the video. And I'm calibrated to take off. It's acquired 7 satellites at the moment. There are 26 satellites up in the sky, which it has to acquire before you can take off. So it's connected. It's got enough satellites. This is white. I can go to press this little arrow button, swipe right to take off, and it would start the motors if I slid this to the right. But I'll wait till I get outside. Don't want to do it inside.